let's just have you share your overall thoughts so far about the book. How are you feeling about it, Venita?
I think the book is a very good read. I think it's very interesting. It made me, it actually brought back a lot of memories, both good and bad. Um, I enjoy his writing also. I think he's a very colorful writer. And it's very clear. It's concise, but it's still very colorful. And in his descriptions of his experiences. I think I am really enjoying the book. Absolutely.
Okay, good.
I am really. It's something about, even though I grew up in the city and I've experienced 99.9% of what he's talking about, it's something about seeing it on paper.
Yeah.
You know, it's because it's
Right.
so organized. And it organizes your thoughts.
Validated.
So even though I experience these things, it's still a new experience. Nevertheless, I think it's a very good read. I think it's an excellent book. Excellent.
Good. Dean, how are you feeling about it?
I think it's eloquent and it's simplistic. It's written simply but beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's validating when you can read things that express your viewpoint, that make you feel like you're not the only one who sees these things. You know, when Trayvon Martin was killed, and we were all of Black America, including me, was expecting, like his son, was expecting an indictment, and we're woefully disappointed. That's something I can relate to. You know, the things that happen in our community where we don't get justice, and either being in a gang, either being with a gang or not with a gang, having to choose. People have been through that too. You know, I've known people who've had to make these decisions about whether or not what color they wear, or be very conscious about the things that they do in that gang. And people who've also been told that they have ADHD or ADD in school as a means of controlling of the student, you know, rather than really helping people. You know, when you can read things that validate your experience.
That's one of the things that I did not write a question about, which is related to the poor notes that I wrote.
Right.
But that was another, you know, big piece of the theme of these first 39 pages, that you know, he couldn't get he wasn't protected by the schools, and he wasn't protected by the streets. You know,
he didn't feel safe at home because his parents would beat him, because if he wasn't tough enough on the streets to protect himself, his parents would beat him. If he talked back to his teacher, his parents would beat him. If he did anything that society in any aspect felt was wrong, he would face not only their justice but his parents' justice. You know?
And unfortunately, that is the fate of a lot of children.
That makes you feel very vulnerable and exposed and raw as a person. And that's something white America does not have the same feeling as. You know, how can you?
Well, there are a lot of white children that experience physical abuse.
Yeah, there are. Don't get me wrong, there are. But it's not.
But it's not related to.
It's not related to the things that make us fearful.
You know, how you're going to live in society.
Right, and we have that fear every day.
Yeah. Well, good. I am glad you both are enjoying the reading. I'm certainly enjoying it too. I think it's an excellent book. This is what Toni Morrison had to say about it. I've been wondering who might fill the intellectual void that plagued me after James Baldwin died. Clearly, it is Ta-Nehisi Coates. The language of Between the World and Me, like Coates' journey, is visceral, eloquent, and beautifully redemptive. And its examination of the hazards and hopes of black male life is as profound as it is revelatory. This is required reading.
Right. It is.
Now, I'm certainly not going to disagree with Toni Morrison. How could I? But I tell you, James Baldwin, Dean, I don't know if you've ever really gotten into James Baldwin, but that's my boy.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to say that Ta-Nehisi can take him. He's on the path. He's definitely on the path. But
there's only one James Baldwin.
There's only one James Baldwin.
Well, not another one. Okay, so
I've never really read that much, but maybe I was just waiting for the right thing to read. You know, it's not.
Well,
huh? Maybe I was just waiting. I don't want to read stupid stuff designed to attack my perceptions of myself.
Right.
I don't want to read stupid magazine articles. Yeah.
One of the things that that Ta-Nehisi Coates talks about is he would take his questions to his father, and he said his father wouldn't answer them, his parents wouldn't answer them. His grandmother gave him those punishments, you know, of making him analyze what he was thinking about, why he was doing what he was doing. And that reminded me a lot of the family I grew up in. My parents would never really give you an answer to anything. But when I was about 20 years old, I was working for some lawyers, some very politically conscious lawyers. And one of them was Deborah Jackson, Cynthia's big sister. And I had so many questions going on that because I was learning so much about the political cases that they were involved in. And Deborah wouldn't answer the questions, but what she did do was prepare a reading list for me. It must have had about 100 or so books on it. But that really, you know, that really is, I believe, the only way for us to live within our black bodies, to really go through the process of study, and to come to our own understanding about what exactly is going on here, and to not be subsumed by the dream. So, you know, we do have a reading list with the Global Black Feminist Reading Group, which maybe I'll send to you, Dean. But yeah, you know, there's a lot of stuff you potentially could read, you know, and most of it is not directly meaningful to our situation as African Americans. And so sorting through the millions of titles that are out there to come up with the agenda that you need as a black person, you know, is real work. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Before we stop the broadcast, Dean, do you want to say a word about how you feel about being in a hangout, what you think about this process? Venita and I, of course, you know, we're like into it at this point. But what do you think?
I think it's good. You know, it's a chance to really get. I can't talk to Vanessa about these things because I can talk for days, but she can only listen for minutes. You know, so
you have to talk to her a minute at a time. Then talk to her a minute at a time. Okay, you can talk to him. He's got to talk a minute at a time, Dean.
Oh man,